Pecron has managed to give us a very compact, small power station that's smaller than this one below it in all directions, yet this has twice the battery capacity that that unit has. Pretty sweet. Let's see what other good things this brings to the table. Let's unbox this. We've got some documentation, and here's the power station itself. It's about the little things, you guys. Check this out. Not only do they include a little pouch to hold, a cable or two, but they've also engineered it so that it will stay with the power station. That's my number one problem, is keeping cables with my power stations together, and this is awesome. So inside the pouch, got two cables, AC charging cable and DC charging cable. A super fast overview, AC charging outlets here, rated up to 600 watts max. USB Type A quick charge ports, 18 watts each, 100 watt. I see 2 arrows going, so I assume that's bi-directional. We'll test that. Then we've got 2 DC plugs here. One says 24 volts 5 amps, one says 12 volts 5 amps. Then we've got the car style socket there, 12 volts 10 amps. Wireless charger on the top. On the end here it looks like we've got a light, which is awesome. AC input, DC input, 12 to 28 volts, 100 watts max. Nothing on the back. And a ventilation port and specs on this side. Has a lithium iron phosphate battery chemistry. Its capacity is 576 watt hours. Let's test this light. We've got on, brighter, SOS, and low again. So low, high, SOS. Does the wireless charging work? Yep. A couple of things to take note of in the manual. Notice right here, this note in red. You can charge it from the DC port as well as the AC port at the same time, but it will cap itself at a max of 500 watts of charging, even if you have more power available to it. It can function as a UPS, which is awesome. Okay, looks like we can control this with an app. Let's try that. Alright, supposedly we take the DC power button and the AC power button, and we press and hold both of them for 3 seconds. And if you look there, we've got the little wireless icon flashing. So now in the app, we're going to go ahead and just hit Add Device. Try this one here. There we go. It's found it. Let's push the plus button here. And it looks like it wants to connect to my Wi-Fi. And it's been successful. You can rename it if you want. So it gives us the state of charge, and then an estimated time remaining. Then you've got input wattage, and then you can switch to your output settings, and you can toggle those off and on, which is sweet. You can turn on the LED light. There we go. We have the user manual right here, which is pretty sweet. Input-output settings, so you can change the rate at which the power station charges, and it's in percentage, so 25% power, 50%, 75%, or 100%. That's cool. You can enable with a quantity of time for it to automatically shut off. I'm going to keep that in the off position. Let's go to system settings. We have eco silent mode here. It sets the AC charging power to 50% and will automatically shut the unit down after 2 hours. Automatically reduce the brightness. I assume that's the screen. I'll leave that on for now. And then you can go ahead and change its name and share it if you want. So it's a pretty bare bones app, but definitely gives me the information and the control that I basically need for this power station. So I like it. I like the simplicity. This is my full-size kitchen refrigerator, and I want to see if this Pecron E500 LFP will first start the fridge. Does it demand a pretty serious surge to get it going? And then if it does, how many hours this will run my fridge for. You can see it's unplugged, so let's give this a try. Let's first turn the power station on. All right, we're at a 100% state of charge. Let's see if this fridge will get going at all. We got an overload, so let's unplug it and try it one more time. All right, second attempt at the fridge. Here we go. Nope. So the surge that this fridge requires is too much for this little power station. And to be clear, that's not necessarily a bad thing. This power station is right on the cusp of maybe being able to run a fridge, but it's not necessarily a surprise that it can't. What about powering a 120 volt mini split heat pump? Unfortunately, no. This has a 600 watt inverter, and when this is ramped down, it would be able to run it. But this heat pump can get close to 1,000 watts at full tilt, and that would overload this. All right, let's test this E500 powering a full-size gas furnace. The reason this has a chance of working is because the only electrical components are some of the fans and blowers and stuff. The heat is obviously being generated from combustion on gas. The secret sauce to making this work is this trusty device right here. This is an easy generator switch, and it allows me to easily plug in a 120 volt power source like this Pecron unit. With the flip of the switch, run a typically hardwired 120 volt device at my house. Just at idle, we are consuming 18 watts. Okay, we've got the induced draft going, and we've got the hot surface igniter going. Those two things are only pulling 132 watts. And we have ignition. And now that the hot surface igniter is off, you can see we're only pulling 59, 60 watts. I was waiting for the fan to speed up here. As it was speeding up, this errored out and cut everything off. I hurried and switched over to utility power again, just so that things could fire up, because you don't want your heat exchanger to be super, super hot, because that can lead to cracking and expensive repairs. So anyway, you can see we're no longer drawing power from this. So this started it, but it was unable to maintain the blower. So do not attempt to use this with your furnace. It will not run it. Even though technically my furnace is less than 600 watts, something about the two aren't playing nicely. Could this Pecron E500 LFP power a full-size microwave? Nope, this is way too big for this little guy. Something this would be fantastic for would be something like these 12-volt compressor fridges. Easily be able to run 1 or 2 of these off this unit, no problem. I was all excited, guys. I thought I had the perfect use case for this Pecron E500. This is my Starlink Mini. It can run directly off DC power. However, 12 volts is not enough voltage to overcome the voltage drop in this long cable and still power the dish. So I thought, well, this Pecron has a 24-volt plug that we could tap into, and that would probably work beautifully. This would be perfect. Well, unfortunately, this cable does not plug directly in. It's the right size and everything, but the pin inside there is too big to go into this plug right here. So you'd have to get some kind of adapter barrel for it, which I don't have. But I think the option is there. You can also get adapters that just run USB-C to the dish, which I have, so you could certainly do that. But I thought, well, it'd be cool if you could run off the barrel port here and then preserve the USB ports for other electronics. Anyway, I think that's a valid use case. I'm bummed, though, that I can't test that because I don't have an adapter for this, but I'm sure they're out there, and you could easily get your hands on one. Can this Pecron E500 run a full-size household vacuum cleaner? No, it can't. It's too small. What about doing a batch of wash? Nope, that's still too heavy of a load for this inverter. So what might this Pecron E500 be actually good for? Well, you can see I've got it plugged in currently to this computer system. So I've got 2 4K monitors here, and right now I've got a YouTube video playing from the best YouTube channel on the face of the planet. There's a trick for that. Don't forget to subscribe, you guys. But this is an example of just kind of an everyday computing task. Email, browsing the web, watching videos, etc. And if we take a look here, you can see that we're just kind of hanging out in the mid 200 watt range. So piece of cake for this inverter to do. Now this is a very high-end workstation gaming PC combo, so if I were to really crank it up and try to do some heavy gaming or something, this pulls well over 600 watts when it's really working hard. Not everyone's computer is that way. Most computers out there will run off this little guy just fine. But if you're someone like me that has a really souped-up PC, you got to be careful if you're using something like this so you don't overload it. And this kind of setup is where this size of power station really excels at. A gaming laptop hooked up, we've got a MacBook Air hooked up, an iPad hooked up, got a cell phone charging, all of them running off this unit. And this, at the current state of power consumption, we're right at, it's estimating about 3 hours of runtime with all this stuff connected up. Let me show you a quick comparison. So I've got another power station. You can see it's sitting on top of the Pecron E500, slightly taller, significantly wider, and significantly deeper front to back, okay? The Pecron E500 LFP has twice the battery capacity that this unit has. So you're going to get twice as much runtime in a smaller package with the Pecron E500 LFP versus something like this. So if you're in the market for the small, not the ultra small, but the small size portable power station, or your on-the-go electronics, camera gear, etc., I think the Pecron E500 LFP really brings a lot to the table. Except for one stinking thing. That issue is hiding right under this cap right here. The DC input, namely the solar input, I don't know if you can see that writing right there, but it says 100 watts max, 12 to 28 volts. Come on, Pecron. I don't want to have to wait 6 hours or thereabouts with perfect daylight, which I never have, and even on the longest day of the year, to recharge this thing. And that's not counting any power I may be drawing from it. If I'm drawing any sort of power, I'm never going to get that recharged completely with solar. This guy here that has half the battery capacity has a 12 to 60 volt DC input, 220 watts max. Now this has half the battery capacity, but I could fully recharge this from dead to full with maxing out its solar in just over an hour. If the Pecron had the same input, I'd be able to recharge it just over 2 hours. Much more reasonable. So I would definitely not get this if you're wanting to use solar recharging frequently. If you want a super compact, power-dense, small unit that you're mostly going to be recharging from the AC wall, this is a great option. So let me just show you a quick comparison here. This is the E500 LFP that we've been reviewing in this video. $199, so basically 200 bucks. I want to make a case for if you're going to spend $200 on a power station that has a 500 watt-hour battery. If portability is not of the utmost importance, consider spending $400. I recognize that's twice as much. but you could get the E1000 LFP. I hope to get my hands on that one very soon to test. But it's got twice the battery capacity, but it has an 1800 watt inverter, 3 times the size of the E500's inverter. And then finally, check this out, 600 watts solar charging. Now we're talking 6 times the amount of solar input available to it compared to the E500. So yes, it's double the price, but I think you have a lot more bang for your buck and get a lot more for the money you're spending on this E1000 LFP than the E500 LFP. That's just my personal philosophy. They also have the E600 LFP, which is in the middle of the 1000 and the 500. However, take a note, $329. So just for a few dollars more, less than $100 more, you can upgrade to the E1000. And I think that's still a no-brainer because this here is almost, not quite, but almost half the battery capacity of the E1000, and it only has half the solar input of the E1000. So the math just isn't jiving. It definitely seems like the E1000 is the way to go with the current pricing structure. The only reason that would not be the case, like I said, is if you need the utmost portability and solar charging is less of a concern for you. Then the E500 is probably the way to go. On this Pecron, we have this 100 watt power delivery port and has those little arrows that lead me to think it's bi-directional. We saw that it charged my MacBook Air just fine, so we know it will output power. What about accepting a charge? Well, I've got non-bi-directional 100 watt power delivery ports. Let's plug that in and see what happens. Yeah, baby, look at that. Charging at 100 watts through the bi-directional USB-C port. So it does work bi-directionally. I appreciate that. All right, I got the Pecron charging from the wall right there. And I've got it set to 100% charging power. See that right there. So we're just over 400 watt. Now I'm going to try plugging the USB-C in and seeing if we get additional input or if it limits it or what. Oh, look at that. You can dual charge at the same time. We're over 500 watts now. Sweet. Okay, we drained this Pecron unit down to 0. It says 1%, but basically till it completely shut off. So now we're going to see how long it takes to recharge from AC wall power combined with USB-C power delivery. We'll see how fast we can recharge this from dead to full. I got a stopwatch here. Go ahead and plug the Type-C in. So we're really pumping in the juice, over 500 watts. While this is charging, it's a good opportunity to hear the sound level. It's not crazy, but it's audible. Alright, from 0 to 100%, 1 hour and 20 minutes. That is very fast for a power station this size. Now again, we were dual charging it from the wall and from the USB-C power delivery. And then, I don't know if you noticed there at the end, it did slow down. It was like turn on charging and then turn off. Turn on and turn off. I think that might have been heat related, but it did manage to fill all the way up in record-breaking time. Again, that was very, very fast. Very impressed. So yeah, Pecron has done a fantastic job cramming a ton of energy into a tiny package. It's the perfect tossable unit to take with you on the go when you need big power in a tiny footprint. The inverter is bigger than, say, a 300 watt inverter, but it's too small to run the majority of household appliances or something like that. It's more for your portable electronics. And it has an absolutely terrible solar input. Have I said that before? Have I emphasized that? I'm not going to beat a dead horse, but I think they really missed out on that one aspect with this. Love the price points that Pecron units are at. And, it has all the niceties like app control, the fun bag that keeps the cables together. I love those little touches. I'm going to leave a link for it down in the description so you can check it out, as well as all their other units. You can tell videos like this take a long time to produce and edit, and I would sure appreciate your reciprocation by doing 4 100% free things: liking, commenting, sharing, subscribing. 4 100% free things for you to do. Makes a huge difference to the channel. I try to read and respond to all of your comments, and I love my interaction with you. Okay, stay safe out there, everyone. We'll catch y'all next time.